you're in the right place. This is the Eatfluencer Podcast, and I'm your host, Dr. Maggie Landis. Together, we are going to unpack everything about eating and discover the what, when, and how that will let you lead your best life. This is not your doctor's conversation about nutrition. Today is when you can start to love eating again. Let food be food and you be you. Get ready to get eatfluenced. And welcome back to the Eatfluencer Podcast. I'm glad you've joined me today. I'm Maggie Landis, your host here. This is episode 69, which I have titled, Is it Nutrition News or Diet Culture Noise? And this is going to be a very practical how-to sort of episode. Not a lot of fluff. This is just like a straightforward help session for a very specific question that I get asked all the time. And that is, how do we discern actual legitimate nutrition science and good information and good recommendations from total diet culture garbage? Because it's hard. It's really, really hard. And, you know, the diet culture and the wellness industry and this sort of healthism culture we have wants it to be hard for you, because if you stay confused and you stay indecisive, then there's a solution that they can sell you. The worst thing for diet culture, because it's a business model. Remember, we say this over and over and over. It's a business model. The worst thing is if they have a bunch of well-informed, scrutinizing, smart, discerning people, because we'll see through a lot of the garbage that they put in front of us if we even just stop for a moment and kind of systematically assess what we're being told to do. So that's what this episode is about, because I want to make really clear, I think there's a misunderstanding that health at every size and intuitive eating and this unconditional permission around food equates to there is no such thing as nutrition science. And literally everything is equal for the body, and there's absolutely no difference, and there's no reason to think about anything that we put in our mouths. And that's not at all what health at every size or intuitive eating or any of these ideas, this sort of weight neutral, gentle nutrition approach, it's not about ignoring information that could potentially be useful. It's about, number one, being smart about picking out what is real and what is false, or, you know, essentially propaganda from diet culture. And the second thing is being able to make an informed, personalized decision as to whether that choice is acceptable to you and of interest to you and accessible to you and good for you. And that's, the answer is going to be different for everybody. So that's why, you know, the one size fits all, we have to get away from that, because it's really truly the opposite. It is a one size fits one. And even for that one person, it's like for one day or 1 hour even. It's, the body is so freaking cool and dynamic and constantly adapting to every change within itself and in the environment, that we've got to establish a level of trust with our bodies. And that's not really, we're not talking about body trust in detail today. That's a whole conversation for another podcast. But what I want to give you today is a stepwise framework to think about how to evaluate something. When you're told about a type of food, or you're told information about you should increase this nutrient, or you're told about, something related to a specific way of eating, or how the body functions, or, adding this could do this or prevent this. How do you know what to pay attention to? There's so much out there. I mean, we are barraged with information coming from every direction. And the boundaries of kind of reality and good evidence-based grounded science and kind of marketing noise is really, really blurry in a lot of cases. So I've got a system that will help. I actually did a little short mini series in my private Facebook group last week about this. In fact, if you're not in my private Facebook group, you need to get in there, because this is the kind of stuff we talk about, and it's free and it's for women. And just send me a message on social media somewhere or a DM that says Facebook, and I'll get you the invitation. But okay, that aside, I did a little tiny mini series. I'm gonna make this a slightly more extensive, but if you're in my Facebook group, you've already heard this. My tongue's twisted now. All right, and I have to do what I love doing, which is making everything start with the same letter, so it's a nice, beautiful kind of acronym type thing. So we have 4 S's, and I'm going to just briefly go through these. Like I said, this is not a super extended conversation. This will probably be a kind of short episode, which is fine. That's fine. I just want to make this clear so that you don't feel stressed or confused about what information is good and what is bad, because it's hard to figure out. I'm just telling you that that's totally normal to feel sort of overwhelmed and perpetually confused, because that is how diet culture likes it to be. Okay. So the first S, and these are like questions we're asking ourselves, all right, to discern nutrition, know-how, or good news, or valid information from diet culture bunk. The first S is safe. All right. So we have to know before we're going to accept an idea or take on a behavior or add something to our diet or put something into our body that it's safe. I mean, safety is always first, right? Safety is always first. That's like, in factories, safety is always first. That's why they have the little sign that says, like, it's been so many days since somebody, dropped forklift on their foot or whatever. We don't want to do anything if we haven't assessed that it's safe for us. Now, the answer is not always yes or no across the board. Every decision we make, I mean, really and truly, every single decision we make as a human is a personal risk assessment that's going on in real time in our brains. And usually it's so fast that we don't even realize that we're kind of weighing the risks and benefits of a decision because we just do it that fast. But, this is maybe a time where you want to be a little more deliberate about thinking, is there any risk? What are the risks? How likely are the risks? And what is the, theoretical benefit, or what do I have to gain from doing the thing? And I'm not talking about any specific thing. That's why this is sort of a general framework to think about anything new that you're investigating. Okay, it's kind of like an investigative framework. Now, you have to keep in mind when you're doing your mini personal internal risk assessment that you're thinking about your health more than just your physical health, because we are very conditioned by diet culture, by our wellness sort of industry, to focus on physical health. And so that's usually the tagline that's appealing to us. It's going to lower your cholesterol. It's going to make you have regular periods. It's going to, prevent diabetes, whatever it is. It's usually a physical thing that we are sold on because we believe physical health is health in a lot of ways. But I want to encourage you to think about health on a bigger scale, and that social health and emotional health and mental health are also equally important, like all equal pieces of the pie in terms of contributing to your quality of life, contributing to your well-being and your sense of purpose and how you feel and how you engage in the world. So remember to consider the side effects, or, side effect profile, I'm doing air quotes, of whatever thing you're considering. How's it going to affect your social and mental and emotional health? Because if it, reduces your cholesterol, but makes your diet so restrictive that you can no longer be social with your friends and you can't eat outside of your home, then I don't know. Like, is that sacrifice worth, 10 points on your LDL cholesterol? I can't answer that for you, but I want you to be aware that you need to answer that for you before you, sort of take on a behavior, because that's what we have historically done in diet culture, in chronic dieting, is taken on lots and lots of behaviors, restrictions, diets, supplements, all the things to theoretically improve our physical health, and with very, very little regard to all the other aspects of what make us human and what make us healthy. So, all right. So first thing, safe. Is it safe? Do your kind of personal risk assessment and consider all types of health, not just physical health. Okay. The second S, is it scientific? So this is where, if you're not experienced and practiced at decoding data or literature or research, get some help, because this is where you will get totally swindled by headline news. All right. Because they don't, the media does not feel compelled to give you granular details. They pick and choose what is shown to the public. And as you can imagine, that is kind of handpicked to essentially support the sales of a product or a service or something. So they don't have really a responsibility to science. They have a responsibility to business. So just reading the labeling, just seeing the headline news, about a certain product or something is not science. You need to dig into the science. And good science is rigorous. It is controlled. It is done on a large group of people. Other variables that might affect the outcome are controlled for. We call those confounders. Those things are controlled. It is reproducible, meaning that, the result happens with a repeated study, the same result. It's not chance that one result appeared. It has to be relevant to you if you're going to be, taking this on. So, there's a lot of science done in labs and test tubes on rats, on monkeys. And I'm not saying it's bad, because some of that is valid science and we have to start somewhere. But at some point there has to be human subjects for something that you as a human are going to take on. So there's a lot of criteria. I mean, this is why people go to graduate schools, to learn how to discern literature. We do a lot of this. And so this is not a, podcast lecture about how to read clinical literature or scientific literature, but just know that there's more than the title, and there's more than just the label on the package, and there's more than the brochure that's produced by the people that stand to benefit from you purchasing their product. So, the science needs to be clear and convincing and exposed or available. And like I said, if you need help because that's not your wheelhouse to interpret that, that's fine, but find somebody whose wheelhouse it is. Okay, so we have safe, we have scientific, and the third S is sensible. All right, and this is more of the gestalt, okay? The scientific was, does it sort of meet a rigorous, scrutinizing eye? Sensible means, does it seem reasonable? Like, this is, in terms of sensible, it's really more like to say, is it not too sensational? Because we have to think about if it just makes sense. There are very few things in the human body where you do one thing, take one thing, add one thing, change one thing, and every single function in the body is changed, specifically improved, okay? Because that's kind of this fix-all mentality we get from diet culture, and you've seen this all over the place. There's nutrition supplements and shakes and pills and, magic things to do. and really it is magic. Like, the more magical and sensational it seems when you're going to drink this shake once a day and you'll have less joint pain and prevent diabetes and get rid of migraines and have more sex drive and have better skin and blah, 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 blah. It's kind of becomes outlandish and improbable because that's really just not how the human body works. Whereas something that's very directed, like increasing fiber in your diet, having a higher fiber content in your diet, is likely to, or potentially could lower your serum cholesterol. Because, fiber binds bile acids in the intestines, and the intestines, the bile acids is where the cholesterol is stored, and, yada, yada, yada. But you don't care about the details. But, doing one thing is going to change one thing. Seems sensible. And especially if you know anything about physiology, seems sensible. So, kind of keep your eyes open to these one fix all kind of solutions. If it feels improbable or bizarre or outlandish or unlikely, it probably is. And that's where, when you get that kind of gestalt, you need to see the science, because that will bear the truth, frankly. Okay, and then the fourth S is simple. And I mean simple for you. If you're going to take on a behavior, you're going to do a program, you're going to take a supplement, you're going to do whatever thing, how is that going to fit into your life, your goals, your interests, frankly? Like, is it even just because this thing is good for somebody somewhere doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you. Every single person has this kind of individual milieu of factors at play. Your desires, your goals, your personal values, your lifestyle, your schedule, your access, your sort of social, accessibility, your finances, your budget, your time limitations, your other obligations, physical limitations. Like there's just so many things that make us all different from each other, which is cool. And the cool part of being a human, let me remind you, but that is exactly the reason nutrition advice that is one size fits all is terrible. And particularly when diet culture plays this game with us where, this is something that everybody should do to lower their blood pressure, but it's something that's totally out of reach for you, either because of your limitations, your resources, or even your interest in doing it. And then there's a blame game that goes on, which makes you feel like participating in other health behaviors or other nutrition interventions are inaccessible or out of reach or not for you because you've been excluded from the idea of health promotion. So anyway, I just want you to keep in mind it's for you. It's for you. And if it is going to take half your paycheck to buy this nutritional supplement, that's probably not like the best use of your resources. And don't feel bad about it. And don't think that other things aren't possible just because someone somewhere is doing something doesn't mean you have to do it or that you should or that it would even benefit you. Okay, so those are the 4 S's. When we're trying to discern nutrition, good nutrition information from garbage diet culture noise, is the thing we're going to do safe? Is it scientific? Is it sensible? And is it simple? And you have to answer those questions. So if the answers are yes, 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 and you want to try it out, then go for it. And that's the beauty of this personalized nutrition, intuitive eating, sort of self-attunement, is that you are your own N=1 experiment. You get to, sorry about that, you hear my dog barking in the background. You get to decide what's good for you. No doctor, no trainer, no dietitian, no influencer, no other person gets to tell you what serves your body, what enhances your health, what is, of interest to you, what aligns with your values and your goals. Only you get to decide. And that's why I've got such a bee in my bonnet about health professionals telling clients and patients how to be healthy, because I don't think that's our job. Our job is to support their goals for health and bring information to that relationship that the other person may not either have access to or be able to understand. That's what I feel like we should be doing in the health professions, and not telling, judging, criticizing, because that backfires every single time. I think that we show up and become partners and, ask questions like this, and they are comfortable asking questions like this of us, and we have a fruitful exchange of information that doesn't leave anybody feeling terrible at the end, namely the patient or client, because they're usually the ones that do. So that's what I've got for you this week. I hope that was helpful, even though it was a little more bite-sized than my normal episodes. Just a practical way to think about things. Sometimes that's all we need is just somebody to give us a good framework where we can work through stuff on our own way easier. But I want to invite you, if you have not leave. Oh my gosh. I got to stop. That's the other reason I got to stop this week is I can't even talk. If you have not left a rating or review for this podcast, I would be indebted to you for doing so. So just real quick before you hop off, go to your podcast player. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe so you get a new episode every Wednesday of The Eatfluencer, and leave a 5-star rating and a review. I'd love to see those. You guys have a great week, and there will be more Eatfluencer podcast for you next Wednesday. Until then, thank you so much for being here today. If you love what you've learned, follow me on social media at Maggie Landis MD, and you'll never miss a thing. You can also check out my website at maggielandismd.com and sign up to be part of our community of eaters. Thanks again for stopping by. We'll talk again soon.